What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. We got a mailbag coming for you guys this weekend. I answer questions you all asked that I put out on a community post. So if you ever want to join a future mailbag, super simple, subscribe, and then comment your question when the call goes out over on our community channel. Like my friend Gangsta Big Chungs did. He asked two questions, but I broke it up in half. The first question he asked was, do you think Kareem Hunt will get another contract? Good question, Gangsta Big Chunks. And this comes not too long ago after Kareem Hunt was talking to the media, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to finish my career in Cleveland. So he's entering the final year, that 2-year, $12 million contract extension, and he's going to turn 27 in August. Not ideal if we're going to call how it is, right? 27-year-old running backs usually don't get many more contracts. That's just the way That's just the way GMs look at the position these days. They believe it's a very expendable position. You can go young in the draft, and you can go cheap. What you pay a 4th or a 5th round pick is way less than a free agent running back. I also think it is important to note what Nick Chubb is going to make next season for the Browns. $14.8 million cap hit as of now. Now, Andrew Berry has shown he is a wizard with the cap, and Merlin can make some money move and can make some zeros go from one side of the spreadsheet to the other. But if you've already got Chubb on the books for $15 million and you want to bring Hunt back on, say, similar, let's say a 1-year, $5 to $6 million contract, you got Jerome Ford, you just drafted him. Who knows what to be? Oh, plus Dearness Johnson. So it feels like it's stacking up against Kareem Hunt to have a return to Cleveland. Even if he has a great year this year, there are lots of examples of great players who just don't come back to their team because it's a contract year and the team doesn't believe in them long term. But if you want to keep Kareem Hunt in Cleveland and you want to see him retire as a Cleveland Brown, right? Local guy who plays in Toledo, goes to Kansas City, comes back to Cleveland, and it's just been awesome for the Browns since doing so. Then go ahead and like today's video. Here's that second half of the question from Gangsta Big Chunks. And do you think the Browns will go for another veteran wide receiver? We've talked a lot about free agent wide receivers on this show before. I don't think it happens. Now, if it does happen, here are 5 guys who are at the top of my wish list of free agent wide receivers out there. Will Fuller, a player we have spent a lot of time talking about before, but those talks have really dried up. I've heard nothing about Julio Jones to the Browns, but I haven't really heard Julio to anywhere, and I'm guessing he still will get signed eventually. Cole Beasley, Deshaun Jackson, Emmanuel Sanders, also up there in the age column. It sounded like Deshaun Jackson would like to play for the Browns, but never really heard the Browns say they're all that interested in Deshaun Jackson. Ultimately, Andrew Berry is very content with these young wide receivers. He wants to see what DPJ, Anthony Schwartz, and David Bell can do. He's also pretty happy that he's paying them probably a combined $3 million, maybe $4 million. So he's not really in a rush to go out and give Julio Jones 1-year, $5 million veteran minimum, whatever it may be, contract when he wants to see those young wide receivers develop, and he's paying them for pennies on the dollar. Now, I will add this. If Jacoby Brissett has to be the starting quarterback for the entire season, that might change things, right? Because what if Andrew Berry looks at this going, you know what, I'm not punting on this season just because Brissett is our quarterback for 17 games. But Brissett with DPJ, Anthony Schwartz, and David Bell, that's not an equation that I think is going to send out a good result. So maybe if Brissett is given the ball for the whole season, maybe Will Fuller looks a lot more attractive at that point. So let's ask this question. I'm putting a little wrinkle to it. Should the Browns sign a wide receiver if Deshaun Watson is suspended? Not just in general, but if Watson's suspended, do you look at the wide receiver room and go, you know what? These wide receivers would pair very nicely with Deshaun Watson, right? You put a red with a steak, but now we've got a fish on the field. You got to get a white wine. We got to get Will Fuller in here. So let me know yes or no. Also, while you are answering that question down below, our mailbags, which are award-winning, according to all the big J's out there, they're only for subscribers. So you got to hit that big red button, and you got to join the channel. That way you can be a part of future Cleveland Browns mailbags here at Chat Sports. Next question comes in from the NFL guy. How long do you think Watson will get suspended? That is the billion-dollar, literally I would argue, billion-dollar question right now in Cleveland. I'll predict 8 games. Hard to say. Right now, the latest on that front is that Deshaun Watson and his camp and the NFLPA were trying to brokerage a deal with the NFL and reach some kind of settlement on how many games Deshaun Watson would sit out. They could not reach a number, and the talks broke down at that point. I'm guessing the NFL doesn't want him to play this year. Deshaun Watson wants to play this year. The NFLPA is going to do 2 things. Stick up for their players, and they're tired of seeing owners like Dan Snyder right now do, I wouldn't say way worse allegations, but get away with murder, essentially. So they are not, talking about you, Ray Lewis, too, but they are not happy with, producer Jeremy right now, he's a Ravens guy. He didn't like that joke. But I'll go ahead and say 8 games for Deshaun Watson. Ethan H. is our next question on the show. We go back to Watson. If Watson is suspended for a whole year, do you see next year as Super Bowl or bust due to a lot of good players' contracts expiring and other contract extensions kicking in? Keep up the good work. I appreciate the kind words, Ethan, but I think you are a little off when you say a lot of good contracts expiring or good players' contracts expiring. Because look ahead to, this is a long way to look, but 2024. So this would be not this upcoming spring, right? Not a year from right now, but 2 years from now. So not the 2022 season, but the 2023 season, which would be potentially Deshaun Watson's first season under your hypothetical of him getting suspended for a year. These are the only guys at the end of that season who are going to be free agents that are noteworthy names. I expect Grant Delpit to be a part of this team for years to come. John Johnson, probably going to ride out his contract, and that'll be that. Jedrick Wills, if he gets his 5th-year option picked up, that will go back a year. Amari Cooper, I have an asterisk next to his name. He signed a 5-year contract. This is year 3 of that contract, but I don't really get the sense the Browns are glued to Amari Cooper for the next 3 seasons, and they can, get out of that after a little bit. So I feel like Cooper is probably going to be in Cleveland for a year, 2, maybe 3, but I never really got the sense he was viewed as a long-term wide receiver. On the plus side, here are some key pieces to kind of, boost morale right now, that this is not a small window to win a championship, to win a Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson. Myles Garrett is a free agent in 2027. Denzel Ward, 2028. Wyatt Teller, your hogs up front, and Joel Bitonio, 2026. Nick Chubb, a free agent in 2025. So this is not a small window for the Browns to win a Super Bowl with Deshaun Watson. Okay? It's a door. Yeah, Jeremy right now, producer saying, this is not just a tiny little crevice you have to sneak through. This is a garage door. It's a 2-car garage door. It's a very big door. Because I think the belief is Deshaun Watson is going to be the Browns quarterback for 2 contracts. He's got one right now for 5 years. I'm not going to put on, my hat and crystal ball and predict what will happen in 5 years from now. But I believe when the trade was executed, it was not under the idea of, all right, guys, we've got to get a roster together and win within these 5 years, because after that we lose Watson and he's out the door. I think the idea is Deshaun Watson is going to get a second contract with the Browns because he's a superstar quarterback. He's going to be really good. We like to keep really good players on our team. That's just kind of logical, right? All right, moving on here. Next question comes in from Goose. Will the Browns sign or trade another quarterback if Watson is suspended for the year? All right, this is like the big question, right? What's going to happen what is plan B? Now, the reports are that the Browns are prepared to stick with Jacoby Brissett. I'll ask you guys to, read between the lines a little bit. Of course they are saying that right now, because why would they come out and say, hey, by the way, if Watson's suspended for a long period of time, we're kicking Brissett to the curb, and we're going to go out and get someone like Jimmy Garoppolo. One, that doesn't really show a lot of that's going to put a lot of panic across your fan base that they are in the belief Deshaun Watson is going to be suspended for a long time. So, 2, that doesn't inspire much confidence in Jacoby Brissett, right? So, right now they're saying that. We'll see what they're made of if a year-long suspension or something like that does come down. And then they go, well, you know what? After looking over some tape, we'd rather have, Jimmy Garoppolo. Because, no offense, rocket scientist Josh Dobbs, he went to my alma mater, University of Tennessee, go Vols, But Josh Dobbs for backup, is that a movie anyone wants to even see a trailer for? I mean, don't get me wrong. Josh Dobbs broke my heart a lot in Tennessee, but he has not shown he is a reliable NFL quarterback. And he's just right now he's just third string, so he would just be the backup for Brissett. But Jacoby Brissett, if something were to happen and you got to turn to Dobbs, that would be scary. Like, that wouldn't be a very fun ending. So what is your confidence level in Jacoby Brissett? If he ultimately, gets the bat signal up in the air and it's like, this is your team for this year, where you stand. Scale it 1 to 100 in the comment section. We got a super thanks from my friend Mark. Appreciate the super thanks, my guy. Mark has a lot to say, so let's break this down. Even before Watson came to town, I was saying that Baker does great in even years. This is like the Giants, right? 2018 breaks rookie touchdown record. Yep. 2019, Freddie Kitchens, enough said. Fair enough. 2020 wins a playoff game against Pukesburg in their house. First time winning a playoff game since 94. 2021, Baker is playing for a contract but gets hurt and plays hurt in 2021 down in flames. 2022, stay tuned. I agree that there's a little bit of like a roller coaster here of, it's early in his career, but there's a little bit something to be said about even number of years, but I'm not really reading into that too much. But hey, Mark, I really appreciate the super thanks. Thank you so much for donating to the show. And anyone else watching, if you want a super thanks and help my dog's toy fund out, although I don't think she's getting a toy because I got a picture not long ago. She destroyed the trash in our apartment. Yeah, not very happy with Cruzy La Cruz. But you can super thanks down below. Next question comes in from my guy, Ryan. Ryan's always tuning in to our live shows, which air every Thursday, by the way, at 4 Eastern. But Ryan asks, game-by-game prediction. Ryan, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't really like doing game-by-game predictions before week 1 because so much can change after week 1. So it's impossible for me to stand up here and tell you what week 8 is going to look like. But you asked, so I will deliver. Take it with kind of a grain of salt. And also, let me plug this right now. This is maybe saying Deshaun Watson is suspended. We'll say 8 games, okay? 8 games. Week 1 at the Panthers with Brissett, win. Week 2 at home against the Jets, win, but I think the Jets might be a sneaky team this year. Week 3 versus the Steelers, I hate to say it, I won't say it, but you can look at the color and let it speak for itself. 2-1. Week 4 at Atlanta, the Falcons, I think, will be the worst team in football this year, so that puts them at 3-1. 5 home against the Chargers, that's going to be a tough team. LA is really good this year. I'm not calling them LA, San Diego. Week 6, and Week 7, a bit of a losing skid here. Patriots, they didn't improve this year, and if you stay the same, you go backwards. So maybe a win there, but I'll put it down as a loss for now. Same for Baltimore on the road. Week 8, beat the Bengals, make it who knows how many in a row now. Week 9, you get a bye week there, and then maybe that would be Deshaun Watson returning for Week 10 at the Dolphins. Put it down as a win. Week 11 at the Bills. Buffalo's not going to be an easy place to play. Plus, Deshaun Watson would not have played football in a long time. I don't even know the math exactly. Week 12, home against the Bucks. Yeah, Brady that late in the year. He's going to fall asleep. 5 downs. That's a win. Week 13, revenge game for Deshaun Watson. Win. Week 14, unfortunately, down in Kentucky. That's a loss against the Bengals. Week 15, home win against the Ravens. 16, I know it doesn't make sense, but that's because it's the NFL. And it's a league of parity, so give me, unfortunately, a weird loss against the Ravens at home, Saints at home. And then they wrap up the year with 2 straight wins against Washington and Pittsburgh to go 10-7. Next question comes in from Gregory. When will Perrion Winfrey sign? I don't know. I've never been an agent. I don't think anyone really understands why there's always like a bit of a lag to these rookies signing their contracts. So, hard to say. Soon, if he hasn't already even, so I'm not all that really concerned. He will sign. I'm trying to even remember if he has signed, but yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us on today's show. I really appreciate everyone that tuned into our Browns mailbag. Remember, if you want to be on a future Cleveland Browns mailbag, make sure you subscribe by hitting that big red button.